Next, I have invocation by Henry. All by flags.
I'm moving a little slow this morning. Father in heaven, we thank you for the blessings you bestow on us, the blessing of our country and our state and our county. Lord, I hear things about that we want everything fixed, and we want it fixed right now. Lord, help us to understand that it took a while for things to get into the condition they're in, and it's going to take a while to get them fixed. But Lord, with your guidance, giving our commissioners your guidance, giving them wisdom, the proper decisions will be made, things will be repaired in your good time. Lord, I pray you keep us mindful to be respectful of one another and to stand together. Let us leave our diversions and divisions behind us. If we stand together as citizens of Marion County, we can overcome the obstacles ahead of us. Lord, I offer this prayer to you today in the name of your Son and our Savior, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start out with administrative business. Tina?
Okay, I have the minutes of January 14th.
Just one question. I saw on those present let's see if I see it again, David Hine. You know, is there more than one David Hine in the county? Because I asked David Hine if he was here and he said no.
Okay, well, we were surmising because we couldn't read the
Name?
what they wrote, and we do have a Dave Hine that's on that's on the list of fire
Okay, then there
persons.
could be.
And so we were sort of surmising
Okay,
that.
that's fine. I'm satisfied with that. I just. Okay, everyone's had a chance to review. Is there a
Tina,
motion?
hang on a second. Tina, I'm going to have you sometime today resend my emails with a packet.
Okay.
I was cleaning my computer up. I cleaned her all right.
Okay.
So yeah, no, go ahead. I read that. And I'd make a motion to accept them as approved.
Okay, motion by
second.
Randy to accept the January 14th minutes. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Diane seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will have to give those to you to sign in a little bit. I don't have them in my folder.
Okay.
Okay, you have budget and revenue reports in your packets.
I just have one comment. When it comes to the expenditures and we end the year, over budget, do the department heads take a look at that pretty close and see if there's any tweaking they need to do in working toward the next year's budget?
Some of them do. Some of them not necessarily.
Okay. Could we direct the department heads to look at those numbers carefully when in consideration of next year's budget?
Yes, and would you like some sort of an official memo coming from the board on that topic as a directive?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I would.
Okay, we can prepare something and you guys can maybe issue that.
Okay.
Most of the department heads are very good
Yeah.
about watching their
I know.
budgets.
And so Tina, I want to ask a question about the special alcohol and drug money
Okay.
that we get the tax on that.
Yes.
There's a new facility being opened in Marion for training and teaching of people who are addicted. And it's called Restore. It's down on Main Street in front of the laundromat in that building. And I had a conversation with her, I went and visited with her, and got several statutes and so on and so forth as to where we need to be putting a lot of that money into training and things like that. Just want to see what we need to do to maybe, what information all we need so that we can kind of assist there.
Okay,
If they're
what
really
we'll need to do is again, probably have Brad review statute, and several years ago, the board took an action to allocate those special alcohol monies that we receive each year to FACT. And that goes to programs in schools and so forth to help with those issues for training and so forth in schools. So if you want to change the way that that money is being allocated, as long as it's according with the statute, that will take some official board action to
Okay.
change how that's being done.
Maybe we should have her come in and give a presentation and then, like you said, get with,
Mhm.
because I think she's more directed to the patient.
Mhm.
But anyway, okay.
Okay.
You answered my question.
Okay.
Is FACT still a pretty, has anybody heard, are they still?
Ashley Gann is that,
Is she back again?
Mhm.
Okay.
and
Okay,
she
good.
is the one
Yeah.
taking charge of that
Yeah,
program.
Who's that?
Ashley Gann, she was
Oh,
in charge
okay,
of it
Ashley,
for
yeah.
several years,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I will tell you, that, they was pretty active when we did that.
Yes.
So they was really active with it.
Yes.
So that, I hadn't heard lately whether they're as active as what they was at that time.
I don't think they're quite, I mean, they've gone through a couple of years
Yes.
of where they weren't.
Right.
And, I think it's back on the uptick again, but,
Good deal.
Be good to hear from you.
okay. Oh, I'm putting that on my list, of things to work on. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Routine?
Okay,
Okay, move on.
okay, then I have change orders.
Holy cow.
Mother load today?
factor is why we remove a solid waste assessment?
If they've changed the classification of the building, for instance, if it's uninhabitable and the
Oh.
appraiser's office says it's a shed and that's it, then we'll change it.
Okay.
But they have to make that designation. Or if there's no building there anymore. Thank you. Okay, we do have a couple of early checks.
Transport fuel bids we approved last week. Postage. Thank you. Every 2 years, I have to collect the official signatures of our elected officials to send into the Secretary of State's office, and so I need to collect each of your signatures on this form beside your name. So. I do have some salary changes. Okay, first of all, we have appraiser's office, Debbie Bowman, from $29.95 per month to $3,043. David Huntley, $20.74 per hour to 21.19. Ambulance, Aaron Shippey. 6-month raise as paramedic from 15 to 15.25. Ambulance, Noah Richter, 6-month raise EMT, 12 to 12.25. And Sheriff Aaron Christner, part-time deputy.
That's just establishing his wage.
Okay, establishing a wage for Aaron Christner, the Sheriff's Department, part-time duty sheriff, $13.08.
I have a draft resolution for that emergency management resolution that Randy Frank presented last week. I don't know that that was in your packet because I was still working on it. I can give you a paper copy. And I did send it to Brad for review. Oh, no, it is in the packet. It was on page 102. Okay, so I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. If not, Randy, you said you deleted yours. You want me to make a copy of this so you can read
Yeah,
it?
please.
Okay, and I don't know if you want to take action on this, or if you want to ask Brad what his thoughts are before you do that. Does anybody else need a paper copy? This would give the, I'm just going to move this chair because we need to have a path. Okay. There we go. Okay. This would give the chairperson of the board authority to issue a verbal disaster declaration if necessary. If it doesn't mean you would have to, but it gives you that authority to do that, and then that action would be ratified by the entire board the next time that you all came together.
I thought it was pretty simple and basic. I don't see any reason not to sign it.
Okay, so would you like to make a motion to ratify?
And this would be, this would actually be resolution 2019-2.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve resolution authorizing, to approve resolution 2019-2 authorizing the chairperson of the Board of Marion County Commissioners to issue a verbal disaster declaration if necessary.
Second?
You've got a copy, Randy?
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
second.
Okay. Motion by Diane, second by Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
everything I have for administrative.
That's it, okay?
Yes.
All right, well, we are just a little bit ahead. No, I guess we're not. Bud's with us, so Bud, you got your reports ready?
Yep. Got our updated annual weed eradication progress report. Need your guys' signature on it. And then this is the weed management plan. I'll hand it to you. That was weed. Yeah, this is all weed.
This is all we.
Yeah.
That's how many gallons of stuff you use and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's,
Yeah, I didn't get it sent down to Tina. I'll get it sent afterwards.
you wanna look at it for us, Bud?
Yeah.
And then this is the management plan. The only thing that's changed on that is the year. It's the same as last year's plan that we had.
For our county grounds?
For our county, for everything, yeah, for the whole Marion County.
All Marion County.
Private, state, cities, everything.
So that doesn't change much from year to year?
No, we're trying to get caught up on them, but it doesn't change. Especially the mine weed. And then while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and tell you that our new machine is in Murphy. They're putting a valve on it that wasn't put on, and it should be in here. We haven't been charged any more rent since the 3 that they did charge us for. And it may be next week before it comes, which is fine with the weather we're having. I told them I didn't want it all sloppy when we got it, so. And I checked with the engineer in the transfer station, and they're looking at next week having a 3-1 construction meeting. I will let Tina know when I find out for sure what day it is. She lets you guys know.
We're doing what now?
Pre-construction meeting for the office shop.
Oh, okay, for the office.
For the
Okay.
construction of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. They're still working, drawing up
Okay.
plans on the other, and when they decide to have a meeting up there on it, I can let
Yeah.
you guys know if you wanna go to it.
And that would include the engineer, yourself, and a contractor?
Yeah, and probably the city of Marion, since we're tying into their facilities, and of course you guys should be there at the construction meeting, pre-construction meeting.
You try to have that here?
Yeah, well, might have it down in the basement of the city buildings. I don't know
Okay.
how many people are gonna be there for sure, how many contractors bring in, and,
Oh, okay.
you know, I mean, if you wanna have it here, I can tell them
Well,
to have it here, but,
Not necessarily.
yeah, I just thought there might be a little more room if we had it in the basement of the city building down there
Okay.
where they have their meetings, so.
So do we need to have a motion to approve the annual noxious weed eradication progress report for 2018?
Yeah, we do have, is that, you making that motion?
I'm asking for a motion.
Oh, you're asking for a motion. I'd make that motion to approve the annual notification, weed ratification progress report for 2018.
Okay, motion on the table to approve, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, all those in favor? Aye. And the 2019 annual noxious weed management plan, I'd go ahead and make a motion to approve of that. Second,
Second.
seconded by Diane, all those in favor? Aye.
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 You guys find that. On that.
Sign both of them.
Just the chairperson or all three?
No, all of
three of us.
Sign that one. That go back to you or?
Diane, sign that one?
No, I don't.
I was asking.
Oh, you need to sign that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I thought you said you do it first.
If it goes back to me, I can make a copy and then give it back to Bud.
And when that's done, that's all I have, unless you guys have something.
Anybody else have anything for Bud? Okay. Thank you, Bud.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
Yep. Thank you, Bud.
Is Gayla here yet? Oh, Gayla's here.
It's hiding in the back.
Okay, Gayla.
Here's a copy of Yayla's report for each of you. Is it? Was it just one page? Yeah, that's okay, I have two sets, I just didn't know if it was 2 pages, and it was just, and I missed copy, just one page, just one page.
Gayla, go ahead.
Yeah, I just put together, last couple of years, I just put together just kind of the numbers of the things that we've done over the years and how many, over the year, and how many people that we helped in different areas. I mean, there were other things that we did, but these were kind of the bigger numbers of things that we helped. It seems like, just looking back over the year, there were, though it seems kind of not very many, 5, but there were 5 people that I helped with apply for disability, and so they came back a couple times, just wanting to know how to fill it out and me helping them with that. So that was some of them. And then last year, my savings with helping people with prescription drug was $63,000, and this year it was $101,000. So it's just,
That's a big deal anymore.
yeah, it is. A couple of people were in plans where they had been, they didn't want to change, and they just stayed in it, and the premium kept going up, and it was just above, I mean, they were paying a premium that wasn't helping them anymore on their prescriptions than if they'd got a lower one. So that's kind of amazing when you see, and just the cost that people pay for medicines, I don't know how they make it. Even with the prescription drug plan, just helping with that.
That's a great service.
And so now we are done with prescription, and so now we're starting to work on helping people with LEAP. LEAP began today, so I have somebody already coming in today to help them with that application. Homestead has already started, but it was delayed a couple weeks just because I guess the changeover up in Topeka, because usually I can get on January 2nd and start filing people's homestead. I could not do that until last Monday. So already started helping people with that, and then come the 1st of February, we'll help people start filing federal and state taxes.
There are 5 that with disability, was they under the age of 65?
Yeah. A lot of them kind of like upper 50s,
Yeah.
60s, kind of. So
So age is not a requirement when it comes to disability.
you can prove it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
truly disabled, yeah.
Right.
That's the problem.
So that's about all I had.
Your LEAP program, is that federal, isn't it? Or is it state?
I think they get money from federal, but then it's distributed down to the states, and then the states determine, because I think that's different from state to state, and like when they start and what time of year and that kind of
I
thing.
was just wondering, due to the federal shutdown, how that's going to affect it.
Yeah, I don't,
Because it's in all states that we operate in, and I know at least 13. So I figure it's just federal.
they usually don't distribute the money until after March, after it's over, so, I mean, I mean, and actually, the Department of Children and Families are the ones who process it here in the state of Kansas, so they're state workers, so. The one thing is, we just wondered, we're due for commodities come February, so I don't know, that's USDA commodities, so that's federal, that's,
Probably gonna affect that.
yeah, so I guess we'll see if we distribute in February or not.
You want to tell us what the LEAP stands for? Okay,
Low Income Energy Assistance Program.
thank you.
There's a lot of people use it too. It is a big deal.
Is it listed on here, how many you helped with that last year?
Last year was only 22.
Oh, that's still quite a few.
Once people have been on it for a while, then they just get a one-page paper they have to turn in. If you're just new to it, or if you don't want to wait for that one page to turn up, then you can file online, and that's usually those people I've filed for them online. A couple of them maybe have come in with one paper and just said, I want to just make sure I have this right and don't mess it up, but the majority of them I filed online for them.
That's pretty cumbersome, I suppose, the first time.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Gayla? Thank you, Gayla. These are here yet? Nope. We're a little bit ahead of time. I know we don't have anybody here we can move up, do we? Travis wouldn't be here yet.
I think Travis is here, but he may take a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want
I mean, I don't know if they'll have more than 15 minutes, but I think he's in.
Okay.
You could ask.
Well, guess we could either take a 5-minute break at this point, or,
Well, I can say something.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, since Gayla just left, last year, and I was late when I learned about the transportation program that is offered and the huge grant assistance that you receive in that. But I really would like to pursue it this year because it is something, it's a service that I think our county could really benefit. And with an 80-20 pay from that grant, and it's something I think we need to get started on now, at least studying and researching it and finding all the ins and outs about it, because I don't want to let it go till we get to a point again where it's too late. And I'm not sure really if the Department of Aging is the department that should facilitate that. I think we need to think about where we want that to be facilitated. I know the other counties don't use the Department of Aging, so it's just something I want the board to consider and think about.
Okay. And
And I'll keep bringing it up.
that grant application is due October or November?
November something is the deadline,
Okay.
yes.
All
And
right.
they pay 80%, and I know our neighboring county has 5 cars, and it's not limited to the aged, it's anybody that needs transportation. And we have a lot of people throughout our county, that need chemotherapy or dialysis and things like that, and right now through our aging department, we don't help them. And that's huge. That is huge when you can know that you have transportation to get you to your treatments that you need to live.
Well, it would be a nice service to be able to offer
So,
if we could get the grant.
mhm.
Diane, do you think that we need to go through Tina's office to make that application that we're looking into it, to get them, notified that we're interested in it? Just make a formal letter to that effect or something? Is that sort
If
of?
that is, and it's been about 2-3 months since I even read through it, I still have it on my computer. If that's the procedure, anything at all that we can do to get started. I do know, and I'll just say right up front, the first year, it's gonna be a pain in the neck, because it's a very deep and cumbersome, grant. But for the amount of money that we're receiving, I would expect some skin in the game. So whichever department's gonna take it on is gonna have to do a little work, but then it gets easier as you go. So if that would be the department, and I know that Tina's got a full department, so I guess I'd have to leave that up to her.
I'm just suggesting that we do it through that office to get through. I know you could call and say, yeah, we want to do this, but I'm just saying that
No, I
if a formal letter
Mhm.
was sent from, even with Marion County Commissions is interested in this, and,
I think anything that we need to do, I'm okay with it. I just want to get the program, get the facts and get the details so that we can get it started. And, yeah, so that's fine with me.
Did
know.
you say Morris County is doing it?
Yes.
And I can maybe start by talking with Michelle.
I think Michelle, yeah, she's going to send
And
it to
kind of
me.
get some basic information. and
Yeah.
Maybe have maybe schedule a planning session for the board.
See
That
who
would be great.
administrates it for them.
Well, I'm pretty sure they do in the clerk's office.
They do, yes.
Okay.
so, yeah, I just, if you want to, I think at least see what the facts are of it, because, you know, it sounds good.
It does, and they love it, and they've been using it for years.
It may work a lot better for, as in this public transportation that I've seen over here, it works better for the two cities they're closest, but that's just a matter of getting the outside communities, somebody involved where they can use it and find out.
Yeah, plus you'd have to have a solid team of volunteers.
Yes, it does.
I
Well,
believe
they
that the
pay.
way that they do it in other counties is they purchase the vehicles and they have paid employees that do this.
They do,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's all included.
You'd fall in the ditch, Patty.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's great, then we'll get started on something like that. That's what I wanted to, just wanted to kind of bring that back up.
Well, it's like you said, sometimes we wait till the last and then we're too late. So,
Yeah, with that type of program, you need to start soon. Okay, we're still waiting on Deidre?
Sometimes she's over.
No. Okay, well, we've got 5 minutes, so I think we'll take a 5-minute break until Deidre gets here.
Did you want to, do we have to be up, did you want to be up there at 10 o'clock, or did you want to go upstairs? And, did you want to do that at any time?
Well, it doesn't start till 10.
Okay.
I think it's 10.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all. You just kept moving every time I moved.
There should be one for Tina.
I know, you had the moves.
Well, no, this stuff
Okay, we're back in session now. Health Department, Deidre?
Okay, I just kind of wanted you to give a wrap-up of the last quarter. Erin Hines, she's on you'll see her picture there. She's the one that took over child care licensing and also Safe Kids. I had written, before we had someone in that position, for a laundry pod grant. And we got that, so we did get $1,000 for publicity for that. Erin, we also got a bunch of, a box of plug-in covers, safety locks for cabinets that came with that. And so she went to the Dollar General stores and gave out some information. She did about an hour at each store, and then gave out some information on the safety of laundry pods. That she has written for a grant that we got almost $5,000, and that will cover expenses for carbon monoxide detectors, which she's going to work in conjunction with, and smoke detectors, and she'll work in with the area fire departments for that. She is going to work with I believe she had plans to work with Tabor College does swimming lessons, and so she's going to get some life jackets with that money and kind of do safety with Tabor on that. And then she did think she might do some with one of the ag classes, and if that goes over well, she'll expand that to the other districts for some farm safety tips on that. Flu season, you can see that we gave 593 shots. The 351 of those were given out of town at our satellite clinics. We held 15 of those. You can see 54 Marion County employees got the flu shot, and those were paid for by the county. The 87 tried the new flu block, which is the one that is actually licensed for over 18 years, 18 through 49 with special health concerns, and then 50 and above that has 3 times the antigen that the typical immunization has, whereas the high dose, which you get when you're 65 or older, has 4 times the amount of antigens. So, and with that, we didn't hear any more reactions, so we figured that was pretty successful. 205 vaccine recipients are 65 and older. The Lindy Weems completed our school screens. That is through the contract with the Marion County Special Ed Co-op. She goes to the 5 districts and does the hearing, vision, and then goes out a second time to do the hearing rescreens. Those who do not, or unclear results on their vision screening are referred to an eye doctor right away. They aren't rescreened, but hearing, a lot of times when you go out, it's the first of the year, so there's allergies. If kids are congested, sometimes they might not hear, so they don't pass the hearing screen, so then we go out and screen them a second time, and then if they don't pass that time, then they go on to, well, they're referred to an audiologist. She did 1,407 initial hearing screens, 1,362 vision screens, rescreens 123. So that was, she did quite a significant number of kids, which they are complete now for the school year. We like to do them, get them over with, so that if kids have problems, they're identified at the beginning of the school year. The health fair, as you see, that was put on by Hillsborough Community Hospital. There were 16 vendors, approximately 102 guests, most of them from Hillsborough and Marion. 77 plus labs were drawn. Hillsborough Community Hospital did the carotid artery ultrasounds, about 65 to 70 of those. And I want to thank Kent came, and thank you for that. I think the low count was probably the advertising didn't get out as soon as what it has always been in the past, plus the advertising was done a little bit different, which I think St. Luke Hospital will host it next year, and we of course will help them, and I think we'll get on the advertising a little bit sooner, and that should help. Plus the fact that we are continuing to have it that first Saturday of November, so I think people can kind of, if we continue with that, get that in their mind. We would like to have it, and so we'll be discussing, have it always at the Marion Aquatic Center, because if we have it, it seems to have a really good flow to it. And maybe if we have it at the same spot all the time. There was a little bit of confusion too. People, I understand, went to the high school at Hillsborough to that gym rather than the elementary, so the location is kind of tucked back, so that may have caused a little bit of the issue too. So, do you have any questions?
Where do you get how'd you get the superheroes up here?
Well, that was someone from Hillsborough Community Hospital had known of him.
Cool.
And so we did have the Smokey Bear costume, but the problem is you have to have two people with that because the person who is in the costume can't really see, so they have to have an escort. And two people that were supposed to be the escorts, they had a engagement at the last minute, so hopefully we'll have Smokey Bear back and some other
The
interesting.
kids really enjoyed Spider-Man.
Oh, I
Yes.
can imagine.
They did.
I can imagine.
They really did. So that's basically what I have. I do want to remind you that we have about 9 to 12 boxes of records still at the old health department building, so you might consider coming up with a plan where we can move them.
I think you're gonna have to find a space in your new location.
Okay, now,
Because we are having trouble finding a place to put the records that pertain to just general county, you know, or things in this building, so.
okay, and that would probably mean, I think, another office, which is about $88 a month. Which for storage. They are
The
for
appraiser's
storage.
office, I think, there is still someone that's, I mean, we are paying for storage at one location, and I don't know if the appraiser still has information in there, but for health records, I mean, you may have to look at something a little bit different.
Have you talked to Jeremy about, you know, just something temporary they might be able to help us with?
I can visit with him about a temporary situation or solution
Yeah.
that might.
I mean, I'm sure
If they
if
have
he
a
has it
small-
available, he would be willing to work with it, so.
Yeah, even maybe a smaller area, you know, I don't know other than what's in that portion that we have.
Do you have to keep the physical records, or can you scan them in and put them on a server and have them electronically and then dispose of your originals?
How, I don't know what the cost of that would be. There's like a chart, they are charts, so I don't have any idea how, you know, how much that costs to have someone physically do that.
You guys,
These are records that you still have to maintain for X years.
Right, right. Yeah, they're like, we have different guidelines, like if they're WIC records, those can be 3 years. So we have done away with those. But some of these we used to do can be healthy physicals, so they're a little bit more, they're health assessments. And so those we have to keep longer. Some of them we have to keep 10 years, some we have to keep until.
And how much do you say you have?
It's been a while since we went through and sorted all those, but between 9 and 12, like legal, like paper boxes.
So, I mean, that's not something that's gonna, I mean, a closet could almost fit that.
Right, and that's why I hate to rent an office space,
Right.
you know, for that. And like based on our cost analysis, you know, of the square footage and stuff, that would be $88.
I'd talk to Jeremy and see.
If they have a closet, because it would have to be locked up,
Right.
because it is.
Right.
and you have no room to put even another file cabinet over there where you could lock them in there?
We,
Into 1 or 2 file cabinets?
at this point, no.
It would just seem to me more cost effective to find out what it would cost to have somebody just come in and put them digitally on a disc or something. I mean, at $88 a month,
Yeah,
in just a few short months, you'd probably pay for that person's salary to do that. You put them in a closet, they're just gonna keep popping their ugly head, and we're just gonna keep paying for it. I would just think
Yeah,
that you check into that.
okay. Yeah,
Do
I'll
you guys
get
not
with-
have a scanner that you use now, to where somebody that in your office you could temporarily store them, and then as you have time, scan them in? Because you guys have your own server, so
Right,
could you
we
not
do
just have
have,
someone scan them in, and, I mean, that's what we would have to do in here.
yeah. Yeah, we could do that. We might have to, increase some of our staff's time.
Well, if it's just they're doing it during slower times
Yeah.
or something. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how I would accomplish it if it was in my office.
And bring
probably.
it, in the meantime, where to leave.
Well, temporary, I'm
See,
sure you could
yeah.
probably find
Yeah,
a place to
I'd
we
talk
stash
to
them.
still
Jeremy and
have
see.
to find
I
a
mean, we're talking
temporary
about-
space for them, because we don't,
Yeah.
we don't really want those in our front office while we're doing that. And that's not really secure, because our charts now in our front office are in a file cabinet that's locked.
I mean, if he's got a closet you can lock, you can get them all in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
I
talk
will
to him
check
first,
with
that'd
him.
be my thought.
Okay. And then, and we'll also check in the meantime of scanning and
Okay. All right.
so, okay,
Anything else of Deidre? If not, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Travis?
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a couple items that need to be followed up on, that happened prior to my arrival. And I guess first we could,
She's got them here.
okay, yeah, first we could go over the ambulance runs. For the month of December, we ran 123 ambulance calls and 5 first response calls. And that puts, compared to last year, we ran 116 for the month of December, with 7 first response, which puts us up 129 calls. 129 calls for the year, so,
Over 17?
yeah, over 2017, correct, correct. So, as far as follow-up, I did visit with a former employee. He was very receptive to my opinion on his termination and the advice that I gave him moving forward into the future. Had a good visit, and I think he'll do well. So, also, I was made aware of a Gossel first response unit being stored in a second fire station. I wanted to see where we were at on contract.
We have that in front of us.
Okay, very well. So we're gonna be moving forward with that as well. Okay, very good. I know Mr. Beneke had made comment about an open house introduction type thing. He did approach me about helping sponsor the meet for that open house. And I think at this point, we're gonna wait on better weather. No reason to be out there. I don't know how many would show up, but as soon as the weather clears, we'll try and get a date set at the Marion Station to have an open house and greet the people, so.
If you get a date set, well, I think I can get a company cooker to bring over.
Okay.
Just portable grill and stuff, so
Very well.
I think we can take care of that part of
Okay,
it.
that'd be great.
That's a good idea, I think.
Absolutely. I do have crew meetings tonight and tomorrow night, Peabody and Hillsborough respectively, to try and get some information out to the crews. Kind of the first formal meeting. I've had sent some policies out, fixed some scheduling with the full-time people. I'm not gonna say there weren't some issues that needed resolved right away. Those are happening. One thing, we were sending both units, both full-time units, our ALS units, down to, on transfers, Newton and Wichita at the same time. I really didn't feel comfortable with that. I've spoken with St. Luke and HCH both about a policy that we really try and avoid that. I understand it's an emergent transfer. By all means, we will take care of that. If it's a scheduled thing that can wait 30 minutes till our ALS unit gets back in the county, I think that would behoove everybody. So, we did have some, one gentleman that quit a week prior to my arrival. So we do have 2 new hires. One's currently working, another one starts February 1st. I'm setting up interviews for one more full-time medic spot, as we do have one on active duty with the military, which I completely support, and but we obviously have to fill that spot
It
for now.
happens.
So, as far as getting interviews set up, I have talked with Tina. I don't know where we're at on legal, but I think background checks are very valid in our business. We're entering people's homes, dealing with a lot of things, and I want to make sure we have the right people doing that. I don't know what the standard practice is. If there is one, Tina, we really didn't.
That's something that I've been talking with Brad about implementing, because in the past, the county hasn't really done background checks.
I think that's something we need to be.
They've just done some just real cursory preliminary
Yep.
type things, with utilizing local agencies, and so that's something that Brad is hopefully gonna be bringing us.
Yeah, I would ask the commission to support that. We, to be in the EMS field, we can't have a felony or domestic violence. But unfortunately, I believe you could have 6 misdemeanor thefts that go under the radar, and we certainly don't want that representing Marion County. So,
From the service you come from, what's?
KPI background checks.
Cool.
Yep. So you get the full meal deal.
Okay.
So, all right. Couple other, I guess a follow-up, the commission had approved getting A7 back in service, which would be a unit that was replaced when Marion and Hillsborough got new units.
Right.
I have, actually my first day, I met with quite a few of the EMTs over in Hillsborough who were very excited to get their own unit back. That would be assigned to a volunteer group. They were very supportive of taking the BLS transfers, which would help our ALS trucks stay available for emergencies rather than transfers. I don't know, I think there was a price maybe given to you to get that A7 back up and running. If I wait until the second week of February, we won't have to have it inspected twice. Right now, if I inspected it when the renewals came up, we'd have to do it again. If we can wait till after the second week in February, we'll only have to have it inspected once, and we'll get it licensed. With that, the weather's not cooperating. I need to get it inside. Obviously, it has to be stored inside. The station I have with 2 bays are full. I need to get A3 over to Hillsborough. Been working with Ben. I think I can get it in the AMPI building, the old AMPI building, and at least have it stored over there while we bring A7 inside Marion to get it stocked and outfitted. The unit was pretty well stripped, as you would do with a unit you're taking out of service. So I'm looking around, it's probably gonna be around $5,000 to get everything back in order to get that unit. I know we have a stretcher, things of that nature, but you still have suctions, O2 regulators, all that. So, I think a little bit within my budget, we'll just work on it as we go. I don't know that it can happen real quick,
We did, in this Kenworth publication, and maybe you've gotten this striker equipment grant program.
it's on my desk. You can thank Tina for
Okay.
sending that information to me. Yes,
But I mean,
certainly.
if that's something that we need,
It's
that'd be a
certainly-
great program to get to
Yep,
utilize.
it certainly is. It's front and center on my desk, and I think Peabody is where we could use that currently.
Okay, very good.
So yeah, we're gonna continue to work on A7, get that up and running. As I took a tour of Marion Station just to see where things were, we did find the heater flue was completely unhooked from the heater. It's been that way since the summer when an A coil was replaced. At that time, I found there were no smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors. We've since remedied that problem. As I went to the upstairs bedroom, I noticed at ground level was probably around 60 degrees, and the upstairs out in the truck room was 90 degrees. I've since got a big fan, ceiling fan that's going to be put in. That's a tube heater with no air that's circulating. Basically, we have 90-degree air at the ceiling, 50 on the floor. The fan will pay for itself. According to statute, we have to be 50 degrees. It doesn't need to be much warmer than that unless they're out there working, and I could understand that. But I think if it were 60-degree air that was moving around, it would be more comfortable. So that's in the process. The situation with the Hillsborough living arrangement, where we have the guys in the apartment down on the south end of town. As you're all aware, that's probably priority number one for me. Right now, we're paying to have a full-time service, but our people are not staying near the ambulance. We lose a lot of shoot time. Shoot time being from when we're paged out till we're out the door. In my experience, about 45 seconds should be the average. Obviously, things change, but that's an acceptable number, 45 seconds to a minute from the time you're dispatched and wheels are turning. That obviously can't be done in Hillsborough. They're driving their personal cars across town, scraping windows. I really don't like the liability of that. I think I've come up with an option that I'd like to present to you. The information, the cost, that kind of thing. We would do that in executive session under property acquisition, if we could do that.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing that's been, I think, been laying out there for a little while is bringing billing back into the office. Currently, we're under contract till May with Omni. It's costing us $3,000 to $4,000 a month. I've never had experience with Omni. Where I come from, the billing was in-house. What I can see Jamie doing is getting stuff kicked back to her, and then she still has to go after the money. So I would be in support of bringing billing back into the office. And I know I've looked at some stuff that show a substantial increase in the amount of money, revenue that we're bringing in. And I don't really credit Omni for that. If you look at and I don't have the papers with me, if you look, I don't believe, no, I don't. But if you look at the number of ALS calls and ALS transfers that we were taking out of HCH and St. Luke, we're running a lot more with that level of personnel. And I believe that to be the biggest monetary gain is that we're providing a higher level of service, which is what we bill for then. I think Jamie would do us well to bring that money back in-house and not be spending it outside. So with that, I would also request executive session for personnel performance.
Okay. We'll have to address each one of those separately.
Okay.
So, how long on the property acquisition?
10 minutes.
How many?
10.
10 minutes? Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion then that I move that we recess into executive session to discuss property acquisition pursuant to KSA 75-431.
NSF lives in Kansas City, and he's been meeting with the railroad to acquire the property. And the latest thing we've run into, on that little map that you have there, there is a lot that we've drawn that the county owns part of that lot. It is plus part of 2 streets that you foreclosed on way back when because they didn't pay the taxes. It is in a floodplain, believe it or not, because it is slightly lower than the depot. So the railroad told us that you need to have this adjoining property before we will give you the depot and the land that it sets on. So that's why I'm here. We would like the county to give it to us, and if you won't, we would like to purchase it from you at a reasonable amount. So that's where we're at. I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
You're talking about these red blobs here?
Yeah, that little
Those-
red area,
those
is
are the
it's about 50 feet, I think. And then there's parts of 2 streets that the county owns in that was vacated when they built the dock.
Thank you.
So is this property been on tax sale?
This is the one that I showed you back in November that I showed you a picture of, and you declined to put it on the tax sale because there was some question. It was just a weird piece. And that wasn't truly a tax sale. That was a county auction of county-owned properties. You know.
Oh, yeah, right.
So you declined to put that one on at the time. Now, I think that before you agree to do one thing or the other, regarding this property, you probably need to talk with our legal counsel, because our previous legal counsel had laid out specific ways that the county is held to be able to convey property. And one of them is a sealed bid situation, and so that's something you probably need to talk with Brad about before you say, because we couldn't give property to the Legion, we couldn't, we had to actually go through that process of selling, since we do not have a land bank.
I was gonna say, if we was to form a land bank, we can do something
Yes.
a little different.
If you had a land bank, you could put the property in the land bank and convey it.
Yes.
But since you do not, it may be an option to work this through the Marion Land Bank, but you really need your legal counsel, I think, to tell you
But
what the
even if-
options are.
Even if we were to sell it to them, we could sell it to them for just crumbs.
Well, if you're going to sell it, you have to open it up to other buyers also.
Mhm.
So you would have to publicize it and either do it through a sealed bid process or an auction like you did in December.
Okay.
Is this a property that has ever been listed for sale? I mean, on a tax sale? Was it way back when?
I can't answer that, I don't know.
We had a deal that there was a sheriff's deed for that.
Back in
And,
the thirties.
beg your pardon?
Was that in the thirties on that date, on that, or what was it?
Gosh, I think it was in the 90s maybe.
Maybe 90s.
Yeah, it was long after the dike was put in. But I think there was because it's only part of a lot. And then part of two streets. But I think that there was a sheriff's sale and then nobody bid and then it was, obviously it becomes county property.
Right. And they're requiring you to own this before they'll give you a deed to the depot?
Yeah, because what their real estate department said, we have to have the adjoining property to go with the depot. And now, if it was a city street, there wouldn't be no problem. But that's no longer a street, it was vacated.
But by you owning this, would be required to have flood insurance then?
No, not on that, not unless we,
Have a mortgage on it?
well, a mortgage, or we put something on it, which, that would be just simply left in grass, as it is now.
It's just a lot, basically.
It's part of a lot,
Yeah.
yeah, because the dike is just to the north of it, because there's a curve in the dike right there.
We have been told by the Marion Land Bank that they would be willing to work with us on something. On something like this, we can see that there's an organized committee. There's a group trying to do this, trying to get this accomplished, and apparently
Yeah, I'd
there's
like
lots
to-
of steps.
I'd like to see it be able to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we do help, believe it or not, we help the county, we bring money in, because we had an event in December where we brought $1,200 into the city of Florence from a group in Derby, so I think that helps everybody.
Brad, I do have a message from Brad that he is about 10 minutes out, so it'd be something that he should be able to guide you on, I think.
Okay.
For the commission, still, when Brad gets here, like to direct it, see if we can go through that and get that. To me, it looks like the quickest source of
If we've got a
disposing of
local land bank that would be willing to work,
Mhm.
I mean, Florence and Marion have a connection through school districts and such.
The way they come to Peabody, they can do any piece of property in the county. That's why they offered it down at Peabody too, to help down there. So, I don't know if Randy Collett's still in charge of that bank or
I'm not sure.
something like that out there. Unless Brad has a quicker way than going through that, it can be, the way I understand it is we can give it to the Marion Land Bank and then you can approach them with this same information that you've approached us with, and they can make that judgment to go ahead and give it to you through the land bank. But I think we need probably Brad, he'll be here, our attorney will be here in a little bit, and I'd just soon wait for him to give us that.
You want me to just wait around a little bit then?
That's all right, commission.
Yeah, be fine.
Okay.
What do we have? Actually, it might be a good time then, since we're waiting for a few minutes, to take a 10-minute recess and go up and congratulate Courtney on her appointment as judge. And that would give time for Brad to get here, and then we can take it up with him right away when he gets here. Does that sound okay to the commission?
It's fine.
Okay, so at this point, we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
Caught me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go back into session here. Just to bring you up to speed, Brad, Mr. Harris is here requesting a parcel of property in Florence that the city owns. And we're talking about how to properly convey that if we can. So, our question, I guess, is whether we could transfer that somehow, if the Marion Land Bank would agree to them, so that they could do a conveyance to the Florence Historical Society, who's trying to get deed to the depot.
Okay.
It's in Florence, it's not here.
Yes, the property is in Florence, but we're thinking we have a land bank here in Marion that
So did you see the pictures?
yeah,
That's the picture right there.
has told us in the past that they
The
would
red mark
possibly
is
work
what we
with
need,
us.
the vacant lot is in
Sure.
red is what they want.
So the county has that. We did not put it on the auction on December 13th.
Did we acquire it by way of delinquent taxes at some point? Is that how we came to own it?
There was something in our packet about it.
Just wondering what our title history is on it.
Yeah, I think that I would think we probably need to check into that just a
Okay.
bit. But there is a sheriff's deed.
There's a
in the
sheriff's deed.
packet.
It's probably likely been that. That's been one of the most likely ways we got it. Yeah, there would be some ability to do that.
If they would do it.
If they
If they
would.
would do it.
Now, if they didn't, what are the options that the board would have to be able to do, to be able to convey or sell that?
We can
parcel?
still go ahead and convey, are we talking about potentially this is gonna end up in the hands of the Historical Society over there?
Yes.
And that's a going and functional organization at this
Beg
point.
your pardon?
The Historical Society is going and functioning at this point in
Yes,
Florence.
it's a 501c.
Okay, that's the other question.
That was
Yeah,
the-
we could do that.
That's the magic bullet for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And we have the ability to do it one of several different ways.
Which one would be the easiest and the quickest?
Quickest is probably to put it in the land bank, but, you know, the other isn't necessarily that much more difficult for us to do. We can transfer it out, you know, and since it's one thing if it's going to a private property owner that's not a 501c3 or that has that kind of an eliminatory purpose, but when it's a historical society, it tends to be a little bit easier, even though this is taxpayer property in essence. I mean, that's why we have it. And so you have a fiduciary duty, but in this case, the purpose that the Historical Society is set up for is societal good. So generally, I don't have an issue with transfers in those kinds of circumstances for that purpose.
If it's legal to do it to a society like that, or an organization that has a 501c3,
And if you want to preliminarily give that indication, I will double and triple check all of that to make sure there isn't anything that we're missing. Also reconfirm how we got title to it and that kind of thing, just so we cross all the Ts. But I don't see anything preliminarily that would preclude us from doing it.
I think it would be in the best interest of us just to go ahead and have you pursue it then.
Okay?
I'd be in favor of that.
So would you want the commission to make a motion to that effect?
No, I think if, with general consensus and instruction for me to do that, and then to come back the next meeting with an answer, so that then we could actually do it in that way, probably our best bet
You
today.
understand, Robert, what Brad's saying? You
I'm
might explain.
not hearing all of it.
Okay.
Basically,
Might
you
go-
want me to come back, he's gonna pursue this and then I'll come back, is that,
Yeah.
okay, I
Yeah.
can understand that.
Sounds like everyone is in support, and all I'll do is just double check to make sure there aren't
That
any
we're all
other
on the same.
hang-ups. Right.
Understand?
Yep.
Because we've been in so many of these with this depot, you can't, I'm sure,
Yeah,
Been through that before with another depot, so I get it, yeah.
yeah, it gets very complicated anymore.
yeah.
So, it sounds, commission's in favor of trying to get it to your organization.
But you have to go through the,
He has to check, make sure it's legal, and if we can do that, he'll bring it back to us next week.
okay, so then you want me to put myself, or make it on the agenda next week?
Tina?
Will that give you time?
I think so.
I mean, I'm not trying to push it.
No, we want to expedite this for you.
If I run into anything, we'll be in touch, and, but I don't anticipate a real problem.
Okay. That would be
On the 28th,
28.
is it? Can we do it like?
I'm flexible, so time is easy for me.
Okay. The opening I have is at 9:45, but would you need me to do it later?
If we could do it a little later, just in case, 10 or after perhaps.
Okay. We'll put it at 10:15.
In 15? Okay, okay, fine. Okay, thank you for your help.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, moving on, review of the audit proposals. I think the commission's all had a chance to go through the audit proposals that we have and the review that the clerk's office did for us, along with recommendations. Any discussion? I myself am ready to move forward, but we can talk about it.
Was there anything outstanding that you noticed when you did that, anything different? I mean, we all had good reviews on it and stuff like that, but was there anything in between any of the companies different that we need to hear about?
You know, I intentionally kept myself out of this process. I did have someone in our office call all three of the references listed by each audit firm, and then if they had a client list that was not listed as a reference, they randomly called one of those clients, just to see what somebody who wasn't listed as a reference had to say. And so if you look at the summary, I mean, you see that Marcy has provided the overall information as far as if they complied with all this parts of the RFP, which they really all did. You've got a total price there. You have their rating of their external peer review. The phone calls themselves. If you look at the second column, Randy, do you need a paper copy?
No, I had it, I looked at it, and then I wiped everything off my computer.
Okay, so the second column where it says reference or other client, that means if it was a reference, it tells if it was a reference and whether it was a city or a county or another kind of an agency. And if it was an other client, then it mentions that. And then in your the overall satisfaction, the rating that they gave them is based on just the responses we got back, so. There were a couple of kind of low ratings, just from one, I think there were two. One of them that was another client that rated a 5 out of 10. Just said that they didn't feel like this company was as fair as the previous. And then the other one was a 3 out of 10, and that was actually somebody that was listed on a reference for that company, as a reference for that company. And then they basically said that based on what they had before. So, but everything else, I mean, they all had good ratings. So.
Any other discussion, or are we ready to act on it?
Well, I read each one of the proposals thoroughly, and I compared them with a lot of these references and things that we had right here. And I do have just one question on the Varney and Associates, which is the low bidder. Is Varney and Associates is the lowest bid? Yes, it is. And so on where it had your overall satisfaction, I was kind of surprised that the person who made the call said hesitated, kind of leads you to think something, you know? And I thought, wow, and it does lead you to speculate. Why? And I know from me in the past, when people would call me for references and stuff, and especially if it's somebody that I haven't been associated with in a year or 2 years or something, I would hesitate to make sure I'm remembering who they're talking about or what they're talking about or something, so I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing.
And it's not stated that. It's not stated as
No,
a
but it
bad
does
thing.
indicate that there was hesitation.
And that
So-
also the accessibility was rated as a 9,
Mhm.
et cetera.
Yes,
So-
it was excessive, it was rated as a 9.
I guess my only question on the Varney Associates, it says they don't use a portal system, just email. Is that a problem for the office?
I guess if it is, we'll deal with it as it comes. I mean, there are ways to work around that,
Okay.
so.
So is that a no then? It's not a real issue?
I really don't know. I mean, it kind of depends on what they have the ability to receive and convey by email and the sizes. I mean, our current auditor, we do use a portal because we have a lot of large files that are uploaded.
Mhm.
But as long as there's a way to work around it, then I think we'll deal with it. So,
So my personal opinion is, personally, I would like to go with the lowest bidder, which is $26,000 if I'm not mistaken, which is Barney Associates because of the dollars. But if the other commissioners don't go along with that, I guess my second one would be the Adam and Brown because they have a huge staff and they are the next best bidder actually, and they have very good ratings. And wow, the counties and things that they serve, they actually serve 11 counties now currently.
yeah, they do have a lot of experience.
They have a lot of experience.
And if you look at the total 3-year cost, is probably what you want to look at.
Mhm.
That's on the other sheet. So
Right.
Barney and Associates for the 3 years was 82.5.
Right, right.
Adams, Brown, Brian, and Barron and Ball was 95,230. And then, the second one just by cost was Burbridge Trahan. They were 94.5.
Mhm.
And then you have one for 102,875 and a 108,750.
Mhm. So I guess in my opinion, like I said, I would rather go with the lowest one, but I think that Adam and Brown is, for their experience and qualifications, I don't know, so that's just my thought. And all of them are very qualified and very experienced, every one of them. I wouldn't take anything away from any of them. With the exception, there's one that has, James and Gordon. They only have 2 staff members that would assist us, and they're very young. Only been with the company like a year or a year and a half, or I was thinking that maybe a little more experience in that particular one.
And then also on your BKD, they have 3 staff members, where
Mhm.
everyone else, the other 3 firms all state 5.
Mhm. Right. The two alarmed me more than just the 3, but anyway. So,
You ready to move on?
mhm.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to accept Varney and Associates 3-year contract for our audit, county audit, cost 82.5.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion, a second, to approve the Varney and Associates proposal for our audit. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, moving on, Jesse here? Okay, Jesse. Morning, Jesse. I had Jesse on the agenda this morning. He had contacted all of the commissioners last week about some hauling and what he's been working on. I will advise the commission and the public, this is not a yell fest. This is gonna be a civil discussion. If it deviates from that, it's over. So, Jesse, you might go back to what the call you made to us last week and kind of expand on that.
Okay, I believe I called you, 2 weekends ago, we had rain and snow, and then drifting. We had fog and drizzle, throughout the week, this last week. I did call to, didn't know if we needed to do an emergency, meeting as far as that. I was kinda hoping we'd hold off because these roads were making we were making more of a mess hauling rock ourselves. We were saturated. We may fix the problem, but we were creating more is by hauling ourselves. So what I was hoping, well, then we got rain and a little bit of snow. But we did get freezing temperatures this weekend, and I was able to get all the blademen out on Saturday and Sunday to try to take advantage of the frost, to try to do some frost dragging, knock down some ruts, somewhat smooth them up. I know we probably didn't do it over all of our rock roads in 2 days, but we made an attempt at it. And now we have 10 trucks out this morning of our own trying to haul rock. We are having to jump locations because we are having problems getting rock to certain locations. We have freezing drizzle and snow heading in this afternoon and evening, and possibly snow tonight. So right now, we'll probably tonight have to put some snow plows on again, and it's just too early to tell yet what's going to happen here. If we don't have to plow snow, we will get the plows back off and get back to hauling rock. I got a huge list. What I would like to ask, I would like to hire some trucking companies to assist us. And I have called them, and they did say that they would have trucks available for this week to assist us. I spoke with Ever Trucking and JL Unruh Trucking to assist us. Right now, today, I didn't call them and didn't send them out just because of the troubles we're having with the warmer temperatures this morning and what we're battling and fighting. So right now, in these big ruts and deep ruts, and I'm trying to tackle with some big rock, and it's sinking. It's the right time to do it, but I just don't know if I can keep up with all the spots. So that's just kind of the recap of what's going on. I have talked to some other counties. They did pretty much nothing like us last week, except try to put out a few fires when they had some ruts. They were tearing roads up just as much as like we were by trying to attempt to get rock out to places. Not trying to compare us to other counties. I just knew that we were having so many troubles. I made some phone calls to make sure, they had other advice for me. So that's where we've been. That's where we're at. I don't know what these storms are going to have for us this afternoon and tonight.
On some of these roads that have spots that have just totally disintegrated, are we trying to utilize some bigger rock
Yes.
in
Yes,
those areas?
Yes, sir. And I'm trying to hit as many as I can during this. When it thaws, it's a great time for it to pack down with our traffic and regular other traffic to beat that down, and it hardens up, and we can cap it later. It is a little bit rough to drive on it first, but we can cap it at a later time.
Are we gonna put rock on some of these roads though that are just not draining at all?
I don't want to, and I know which roads those are, but I have to get them down the road. I don't.
Yeah, I understand.
I have to get them out of their houses. So, to answer your question, some places, yes. There are some places where I would just like to right now, but we're getting stuck as well. And if it's frozen, then I can't throw all that frozen stuff up there. Or,
Right.
I'm just. So yes, right now I am throwing rock on places I shouldn't be. Some I'm trying to do some other things differently, but
With the capability that we have now with the county, and if you do utilize some outside trucking, you have any idea about how many miles you can cover in a short time?
not necessarily, because they don't know how many trucks they can send,
Okay.
whether they can send me 1, 4, or more or less.
What kind of capabilities do we have in-house then?
In-house, I mean, we can, it can take us 300 ton, if we did a full mile, full rock at 300 ton to the mile, that would take one driver about a week and a half, somewhere in there, depending on the location.
Okay.
Now, if we're,
So are we grouping trucks together to go, or we're just,
today, there's
Singling
some
out.
really bad areas where I did pairs. Some people went individually, some went in pairs, just so we can try to knock out as many bad spots as possible today. And today was primarily just hitting really bad spots so we can try to get them through those bad spots. It wasn't, I mean, there's no way we can rock a full mile in one day. So, just trying to hit the really, really bad spots.
I know you know, when people call in, you know, requesting a rock, we log it in.
Yes.
Have we been trying to do a follow-up with that, knowing we can't get to them right away, having the secretary call in the next day or something and say, hey, we are logged in, we have you logged in, we recognize the problem.
I'm trying. I'm the only one there. I'm trying to.
Oh, does the secretary not call back?
Well, Diane made it clear she didn't think that was their job, so I'm trying to do all that. In one meeting in here, you said that you didn't want the secretaries to do that. You wanted me to do that, or us supervisors. So I'm trying to do it all.
I don't know that that needs to be all on you. I mean, this is an employee of the department. She's the one that's doing the logging in, correct?
Myself and those two down there, yes, are logging in.
Well, I think we need to utilize yourself and your secretary to get a, you know, communication is very important. And I realize you can't say, I'm gonna be out there tomorrow at this point. I just think that the perception to the public is we need a response from the county saying, yeah, you know, we have you down, we recognize it, and we're working as hard as we can to get these areas taken care of.
And so I would say at that time, you had a road supervisor,
Okay.
and I would have thought if, at that time, it would have been more his
Okay.
job to say that, you know. So, I do have some questions on the road as well. You said 300 ton per mile, which is what you've been doing.
300 to 400 tons.
Is what you've normally been doing. And I sat down and reread the engineer's report, and he does recommend 5.
Correct.
And I know that that does bite into the budget. And so, going forward, I wanted to see, well, first before I do that, I want to ask you, we're buying so much rock from Harshman. I noticed in November, we spent $77,000 from Harshman, and knowing that that is the softest rock in the state, I have to ask, why are we still buying that much rock from Harshman? Only, or I mean, we have bought some from Burt Camp, and some from one other place too, but we kind of, we buy so much from the place that we know has the softest rock. Why are we doing that?
What am I gonna do? I mean, I don't have the availability so close right here to get, I mean, what do I go do right now? I got a whole bunch of requests. Where do I go for all this rock?
Well, so what I would suggest, if you're asking that question, is just what you said a few minutes ago. I would get, like, Woodbine, they have their trucks, and Everett have them, they'll designate so many roads to them, designate so many roads to JL Unruh, and designate so many roads to, if you have to use Harshman, they're down by the Florence area and that area. That way you're limiting your haul cost, for one thing, and you're getting 3-4 trucks on these roads at one time. I went through your budget, Jesse, and I did sit and I did calculate the difference in the cost at 300 ton per mile and the 500 ton, and it is like what it costs for 300, about $4,500 or something per mile, 300 tons.
Yes.
And I used the $15.10, and that's the haul and the rock. And so if you go up to the 500, you are going up to 75,500 roughly per mile. But realizing that that's a better rocking to build the base, because basically what I see and what I'm hearing is we've lost our base. And so, like you said, all we can do now basically is rock the roads, because we got to build our base back up again. And so I'm just wondering, since we are where we are and it is what it is, to continue doing it at 300, are we really gonna gain anything?
Let
And
me
that's a
correct
question.
myself. I believe you're right. I know exactly what you're saying there. When we're spotting in, the guy's asking what rate. You, Right now with this big rock, I say use it at the rate of 300 ton per mile when we're spotting in. I feel at this point in time where we're at now, I understand your question. I feel now is the time to go spend our money and be doing the 500, maybe even 600 on some roads, a ton per mile.
Okay,
I
excellent.
had already thought of that last week, but, so yes, I understand your question. I feel that this is the time to do that,
Okay.
is by putting more to a road.
Mhm.
That way we can get more life out of that.
And then after you do that, am I also, will we agree then that maybe we need to keep the road graders off of the road for a while and allow that to actually pack itself down? Rather than rocking it, then when it dries out, have the road graders come and, that's what helps to grade the rock. So, and I was reading in this report that when you have a good solid rocking, then you stay off of it for
Yeah.
a long time.
Well, no, I mean, you got,
Well,
yes
I'm
and
not, I'm
no.
not talking the unusual, I'm talking the usual.
Yeah, I mean, there's still rutting even on dry summers. I mean, there's still that rut of the traffic following the same. I mean, every now and then you still got hit it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you don't go and just ignore it completely, but
Well, I
I
didn't
think
say
you
that
have to
either.
do,
Yeah.
you would be able to do less.
Okay.
But one thing I don't want to have is a whole bunch of grass growing up in the road either.
Okay.
So,
And so I'm also wondering then, as I'm looking at your budget, which I'm looking at your budget for next year, and realizing where we are again now, it just seems to me, unless we continue to spin our wheels, because you have a lot of roads, almost 800
800
roads
gravel.
of gravel, that is correct. Financially speaking, in your budget, the way it is now, there's no way. So I'm thinking that we need to maybe, if at all possible, sit down and rethink this budget a little bit, because I know there's a lot of money in there for new equipment that maybe we should forego. And maybe there's also some money in there for capital improvements and stuff, which I know is planning for the future, which I'm not saying is not important. But I'm thinking almost that we have a crisis on our roads, and we're gonna have to be aggressive. And I'm thinking that maybe, sometimes when things like this happen, we need to put our wish list aside a little bit, and maybe just attack the problem head on. I'm asking you for your opinion, if you think that would be something we should
I'm
do.
willing to work with you three on that, moving some numbers around.
Okay,
One thing I'd like to point out is I have 7,500 ton more of Harshman's rock out of Waverly coming into Florence. If anyone would like to, Yarrow Road, going from Highway 50 to Highway 150, has held up really well with that rock, but I feel that if we would throw another, we did 400 ton per mile on that 8-mile stretch, and I feel if we threw another 300 ton to the mile, that road would be good for a long time. There was a gentleman in here before we did that was complaining how bad that road was. Well, through these storms, I was down it really good. It's held up great through this. I just think additional more would keep it good for not just months, but years with that rock that I'm using. Problem is 7,500 ton, that took, I almost blew it all right in that 8 miles. But it's a good road. I feel a little bit more should be adapted, but I got other roads that need help now.
But that road has proper drainage for the most part.
For the most, well, it didn't there for a while, but yes, I would say right now, I think there needs to be some more proper drainage going on, but we have taken a lot of false shoulders off. We've done a long stretch of that, so it has held up great. So I'm just saying, I did go look at Apex Rock, Hartford, last week. I really, really like some of their 1.25 inch rock that they have. And they were gonna get me some prices, and they're trying to find some backhauls to me as well for pricing.
That's, my question is, you just said 1.25 inch, what are we using for those rock size now?
We're ranging from, that Waverly stuff is 1 inch. 1 inch. And like that road report, it has more fines from that Waverly. And that road report from the engineer says I need to be using more fines, which I understand that. That's, I think, why that's holding up so well. Hartford has very similar looking rock, but it's a little bit bigger, and I think it'd really help us. But it has some good amount of fines with it as well.
Is it any more reasonable at an inch or inch and a quarter for the, especially at this time where we're gonna lose a lot of it's gonna go right in the ground.
Mhm.
It's gonna sit there, so is an inch and a quarter or inch and a half even? Is there different prices?
Right now, they don't have any inch and a half, but they're willing to work with me to try to make, such as Harshman's willing to make an inch and a half of the same stuff of the 1 inch that I really like that's on Yarrow. So he's gonna work on some numbers there, trying to find me a little bit bigger rock, but yet a good amount of fines as well.
But as we were talking about earlier on these places that are just gone, you were saying you're using.
I'm using bigger.
Are you using 3 inch?
I'm using 2 inch. Some people are trying to tell me to use 3 inch or 2x4, and I'm not. Some people may not have a problem with it, and it may build a good base, but there's other people that don't need to be driving on that, and it's. So we're sticking with 2 inch, and it's going down great. Well, unfortunately it's going down, but it is. And then we can cap. It's at least you can a little bit drive over it. The 2 inch, it's rough, but we'll cap it later.
So Jesse, I have to ask you then also, according to the engineer's report, he says that 2 inch is too big, that it breaks up too quickly.
Well, I understand.
I mean, I'm just saying what is in that report. So because I think if I read that right, it sounds like, bigger rock is better. But in fact, bigger rock is not better according to.
That's not in mud holes or wet spots, so that's on dry. That's on dry, that's what you're
Yeah,
talking
we're talking about the areas that have just disappeared.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Because it also says in here that inch and a quarter is best for building a base.
Correct, like an AB3 as well.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
KDOT,
yes. Yes.
but when they're using it, they're using 6 inches thick, and I can't. It comes down to that money again of throwing base rock of AB3 6 inches thick in 1 mile. That's just a lot of money and a lot of time on 1 mile. So that's why I'm trying to cover a lot of ground with the 2 inch. The way there has been public that has come in here and said the system is great. What you guys have done to some of our roads, while it's wet out, you're throwing 2 inch as much as you can, and then you're coming back later and capping it. That road is, and those are some school bus routes. I know Center came in here and thanked us for some of the roads we did with that 2 inch, and then capped it at a later date. So 83, 4, 6 inches thick or 2 inch, and it drives straight down, and I got a base. So that's kind of where I've been at with that.
So answer me over in, I'm sorry, my question to you then would be, in the areas that you know are just gone, like let's say over in First District,
Right.
the roads that we know, the main rock roads that are no longer rock roads, who would you have, if you had somebody hauling in and assisting, who would you have? Would that be JL Unruh?
Probably as far as my long routes, if it's 5-10 mile stretches, I'm going to try to get a trucking company on it. Like right now, I got a stretch right now, Falcon. It has some bad spots, really bad spots, and I actually had to pull off this morning because we were getting stuck. My grader got stuck, and my trucks were getting stuck. So we are hoping to get back during the freeze tomorrow and lay some down in the really bad spots. But what I'm wanting to do is get a trucking company to be able to cover more ground quicker on some of these longer routes.
And having said that, I will also mention one other thing, and I know you probably know this, but our schools are getting very concerned. I've had calls I talked to, I think her name is Nanette, the transportation director from Center School. I had a call from the superintendent, but I missed that call, so I did not speak to her. But again, I know what it was all about, and they are very concerned about the safety of our kids on these school routes, on these bus routes, that their buses are having a hard time just keeping the buses on some of these roads. And now our kids, the safety is becoming even worse, with our kids. So I mean, and she did send me, I did notice I had a email with a list of their main priority roads, but they said that there's, so I just wanted to let you know that, which I know you probably already
The bus
know.
routes are very concern of mine, and
yeah.
I have a list downstairs of them. Also, the U.S. Postal is having a lot of trouble, so I also highlighted out on my notes as far as where we need to get to. So, yeah, it's a concern of mine too, Ron.
So, as far as I'm concerned, in conclusion, then, what you're telling us is that, that you're gonna be starting to really pound these roads with rock.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So, and I, that's what I wanted to hear, because I feel like our bases are gone, and so we need to start building our bases, and right now, we're at a point to where, I agree with you, Jesse, that's the only thing we can do, is just, and I know it costs a lot of money, quite frankly, I don't care. I mean, because we have to do this.
While we're speaking of that, if you three could read this, please. It's concerning, I just received this Monday, it's an email from Emery Sapp and Sons. I'll let you read that and we will discuss it.
Wow.
For the public to kind of have an idea of what we're going to talk about here, Emery Sapp and Sons is a contractor that's going to be tearing out 3 miles of concrete around the Lost Springs area on Highway 56. They are asking if I'm interested, or if the county is interested, excuse me there, in if they would go and turn that into crushed concrete, if we would be interested in it, and they would even haul it to a stockpile or stockpiles for us. What they're saying is the concrete in 3 miles is going to generate into 25,000 ton of aggregate. Of base rock, or even if you want to make it into road rock. It even in here says that they would make it to our specifications of whatever rock we wanted. Now, I know that they're not going to do a whole bunch of different sizes of rock for us. I did speak with them this morning, tried to get an idea of what they thought the cost would be, and he said it ranges from $5 to $9 a ton for crushed concrete. A lot of people use this for base material as far as concrete stabilization. Some people use it even for top gravel if you can have enough fines. They can put as many fines as you want, and I think with this harder stuff, more rigid, it's gonna, if you would use it for a road rock, you've gotta have the fines so we're not tearing up tires and whatnot, as far as that goes. So, it came to me Monday, I talked to him this morning, you know, if it costs $7 a ton, you know, 25,000 ton, you're looking at $175,000 stockpile there. That's just me using the figure $7. He thinks it's going to be cheaper around the $5 range for per ton once it's all crushed concrete. But so I'm just picking the middle.
Has the city of Hillsville done anything with theirs yet? They come in and crushed a bunch and it's still.
They've crushed some.
It's just sits there. It has sit there. I haven't.
I
seen
know, I talked to a Harvey County employee last year, and they've used a lot of it.
And we are building a concrete pile at our location at the South Shop. Right now it's still fairly small hill, but eventually I would like to look into, and I have talked to a lot of people yet, trying to get ideas of what that's gonna cost us, but it's something we don't have crushed yet, but I would like to have a stockpile of our own someday, and then this comes along, and, you know.
I think it's a good opportunity for it.
Look at it, I just haven't seen nobody put it out on the road for anything yet, just actually tell what people driving on it's like, or.
Yeah, I don't know, I just know I've talked to an employee in Harvey County and said that they had utilized quite a bit of it and they liked it. So, but I don't know what size.
And when I did call and say I am interested, and then that I was gonna speak with you three about it, make sure you three are kind of willing to entertain some offers, or, I would like to call some other people to find out what sizes maybe they use, or try to get out of this. kind of give us an idea of where we want to go or what we want to do with it.
That just reminds me, and I just want to, on the RAPS program, NRCS, I talked to Lisa Suderman, and there is money available for roads. I don't know the details since I've been out of town on training last week, but I'm going to meet with her and get the details, and she says, yes, they have money that could probably help us.
For like rock, or is that what you're saying?
I don't know, I just said, we need help on our roads, and she said, and I asked her, don't you have anything, because I know they do help the cities and things with their sidewalks and stuff like that, they're getting some of that USDA money and things like that, and I thought, well,
I do
So
know
I
that-
just called and asked, and she said, yes, we can help, and I know they have money available for all the farmers that have their, terraces and stuff that actually dump on the roads that need to be addressed.
We've had some RAPS programs that have worked around bridges
Mhm.
on land, you know, on landowners have utilized. And so I'm sure that, you know, around bridges that are eroding,
And I
that
don't
might be
know,
really viable option.
well, I
I do
don't know
know
what,
they-
she said they have money, so I'm gonna go talk to her and see what they are, then,
There's a couple of gentlemen approached me last week as far as the Topeka Shiner about culverts and boxes and bridges and stuff that they would like. There's money available through the offices over here, NRCS, for culvert structures. And I told them they needed to get on the agenda and speak to you guys about it, but it's for Doyle Creek and Middle Creek. That's the only RAPS type program that I'm aware of at this time for helping the county out.
Yeah, that's an endangered species.
Yes.
act.
So I will check with Lisa, see what she has to say.
All right, keep us in the loop till we see a price on this and know what, and get some more information on it, Jesse, for your own knowledge, see where you'd like to have it size-wise for that stuff.
Okay. Just reporting back as far as the wind farm last week, we discussed Jonas Franz and some reclaimed rock. Right now, they're gonna try to reserve 300 ton for the gentleman. It will be stockpiled, but we would have to haul it ourselves at a later date, when that is available. That's
Jonas?
what, yes. That's what they told us.
I drove down his road on Saturday, and I noticed that it looked like he had rock on his road.
Okay.
And I did see a pile of rock by his shed, and so I did send Brian Fry a text, and I said, I just drove down Jonas's road, it looks like it was rock, and I see a pile of rock at his shed. Is that what we, or what the NL had given him for his being disenfranchised from, and he said yes.
Oh, really? He's received? Okay,
So, yeah,
that is, okay.
and I will be happy to show you the text, so you'll know for sure.
Kent, you addressed me this morning about some signs on K-15 where they're turning, the wind farm companies are turning on 310th and getting stuck on Indigo and 310. I spoke with Brian, the inspector. He said that he has addressed the Nell and Res 3 different times, and he was going to speak to him this morning about getting the signs moved further north so people don't keep turning down and on Hall Route Road and getting stuck. So he's going to try it again. That's all the stuff I have for you.
Okay.
I do have 2 applications to give you, 2 resumes to give you. And one of them is from somebody who works for Nell right now, who has been assisting in making those roads up there.
Okay.
So I'll be happy if you want me to give it to you down in your office.
Yeah, or lay it on the
Okay.
desk if I'm not there. So.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, everyone. You can have it.
I have can I say something while Jesse's here?
Okay.
So, I guess I'm, as a Liberty Township trustee, I'm a little frustrated with, because I agree that now our options are only rock. But 2 years ago, we had a committee that developed a plan, that suggestions, and one of them was working on the infrastructure, which is ditches and crowns on these roads. That didn't happen for almost 2 years because of the dry. I actually had two of, Jesse, your employees come to Falcon on that corner of one, whatever it is, that one that now we have to use four-wheel drive, showed them, said we needed rock, and nothing has done. And it could have been worked on at that point. And now it's a crisis situation. 15 families drive that road, and they're getting stuck every day. Bus route and the entire situation. So I guess I'm frustrated with what happened to us going forward. Where is our long-term plan to address these roads? Because again, we're just behind the 8 ball. And right now, you're behind a big 8 ball, and it is serious. When are we gonna see a long-term plan of how we're addressing these problems? Because I agree, it was too dry, now it's too wet. And that's part of the reason why we're having this crisis situation is because water cannot get off these roads. It's sitting there and it's deteriorating our roads. So, again, I'm just gonna say, we've been talking about this for almost 2 years. We need some, the engineer came, our state engineer came. Those recommendations, we have just kind of lost. The places that we are now having no bottom to, we've known that for a year. That road has been dark there. If you drive it, you know there is no rock there. And so now it's a problem? No, it's been a problem for 8 to a year. And yet we have an employee that came through a month ago maybe on a dry day and was taking gravel and with a scoop shovel and putting them into dry holes to try to cover the, well, I'm sorry, Jesse, that rock is completely gone. But yet we used an employee for almost a couple days driving up and down the roads, putting gravel in those holes. So again, Mr. Bauer's report, that's one of the things, you can't put rock into dry holes. They're not gonna stay there. But yet we had an employee, bless his heart, he was out there doing it for us, but it wasn't gonna last. And maybe we need to be finding these places that have absolutely no rock on these roads before it becomes serious. We can all tell, but we don't know what we're supposed to do about it. So, I guess that's where I wanted Jesse to hear this. We need a long-term plan. We don't have one. Our county has asked for that. Our farmers have asked for it. We have now quit even worrying about the mud roads. We're not even caring about the mud roads now. We can't even get down our gravel roads. And this is, Falcon serves 15 families, working families, that bring economic development into this county. It's not happening.
The list of roads I gave you, Falcon was on it, that I feel is top priority that we need to hit.
What list,
That long-term plan I gave you, or for the roads that need to be rebuilt, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago.
Oh, it had what, about 5, 6, 7 roads on it?
Yes, it's something I've been working on since October, but that was one of the roads that I've been very concerned about because the ditches are here and the road is here. That is not a light rebuild. That is something we are really gonna have to get after to make a good road there. So it is on top of my list.
Well, Jesse, I know that you've got a listing, but you know, we do need this long-term plan, and I think you've been working on it when you have it time. Right now, I know you don't have no time, but I think we as a commission need to be dedicated to help you get that put together with whatever resource that's gonna be, whether that's outside engineering, whether that's looking for an engineer, whether that's whatever that is to help you put that together, because right now it's, you know, it's just, you know, I know you with being short in the office and then having this crisis come up, but you know, I would like to, in the very near future, be talking and acting on what we need to do to help the department. And so I would encourage you to continue to work on that, but tell us, hey, I need this type of expertise. You know, it's going to cost money, we know it. So, but you know, we're just going to have to do what we have to do. So, you know, you think about that, get your thoughts together, and let us help you get to where we need to get.
I think in a lot of counties, the commission holds at least monthly work sessions on roads. And so I think that that's something that hasn't been done in Marion County in a long time, if ever, as far as holding regular planning meetings for that with the board and giving direction of what the board's vision of Marion County is.
Yeah.
But,
And,
so that
you
might
know,
be-
we can give you our vision, but we're not road builders, so we're still gonna need to get some expertise. At least that's my thought. Other commissioners can tell you what they think.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I absolutely say we have to have expertise involved in this, because we're spinning our wheels.
And I think that's probably a good idea, being in the situation we've got now. Look at your calendar and see what day would work for us to start doing that. So we, till we get over the hump anymore. What are your thoughts, Randy?
That's good.
Chair.
I've got your original map. Where was you talking about the road that you had people come to and we haven't got rock to yet?
60th and Falcon.
On 60th?
Yeah. And I know there's people on Goldenrod also that have requested rock.
But at the same time, Mr. Dolphy, I had both his supervisors meet me over in lunch hour, my lunch hour, because I took it from school. And they met me there, and I showed them. And I said, this road is draining, and this rock is gonna get gone. That was 1.5 years ago, and I came as a trustee. The intersection is bad. We've reworked roads, dirt roads there, they're gone. So we've wasted a lot of money on some of these things because the water is running down the roads.
Somewhere on between 160th and 150th down in there, or between 160th and 170th, when I drove 2-3 weeks ago, the ditch is on the west side of the road, cut right down the shoulder there.
Oh, it's terrible.
And if you slip off there, yeah, it's.
We drove it last night, and it's on both sides now.
Both sides now, yeah, I know it's working on the east side, but the west side was already cut down, probably 1.5 to 2 foot deep.
You know, and, you know, we can't keep people off of these roads. I mean,
Well, no.
I've seen people trying to drive the mud with us, and I'm going, oh my gosh.
But that's the only way.
That's
they
the only
can
way.
get-
Well, yeah, if, you know, if that, you have to get to a pasture or something, well, you gotta
This
take
is-
the tractor or whatever it is to get there.
Right.
Two families that moved on to Falcon in the last year, that pay taxes, I guarantee it, both families are wishing they'd never moved on to Falcon. Because it takes a 4-wheel drive to get in and out.
Can I say something? I'm a little upset that Mr. France is getting all this rock, because I have called and called and called and asked if I can, and I keep getting told no. And I am on the haul route, and I had one of those corner things that goes across.
I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, I know, but I'm just curious why he gets so much rock and the rest of us can't get any. And I live on it. And also that 1/4 mile that is north of 340th on Diamond, I've called I don't know how many times. There's a culvert down there at the bottom, and it's just a mess. And Brian even told me he avoids it. I think we had a road maintenance program with them, didn't we? Well, they have not done anything to take care of that. And it is terrible. If it's full of water, it'll go clear over your car if you don't know it.
340th north of
Just
Diamond.
north of 340th on Diamond. Yeah, they won't fix it. He said, we'll fix it when we have to come back and fix the roads.
Well,
And
Cooper
I'm like,
Michael
that's
should-
not good enough.
Should
Well-
address that.
I did text Brian on that. I sent him a text on that particular road right there, and he did send me a text back and said that he is gonna be working on that he's gonna get that taken care of.
Okay,
So,
fine.
and that was just last
Thank you.
night that I texted him, because that's when I learned of
I
it.
called him so many times about it.
Now, I don't know if he started on it yet today or not, but I did contact him.
Okay, thank you.
He said that he is gonna work on that,
I
so.
appreciate that.
But I think in our discussions last week, we said, how can we treat everybody equal, where Mr. Franz, I think that was our
Exactly.
discussion,
Yes.
was how can we treat everybody equal? to-
And I just keep getting told no, and I had a road on mine. They've taken the rock all off of it.
And the bad deal about that is, because I feel the same way she does, but the bad deal about that is, Annell owns that rock, am I right?
Correct.
We can't tell them who they can give rock to.
Sure.
I mean, and that's kind of bad deal.
I think that what we discussed is that if they needed, if someone that lived a mile or two off of the haul route, we could go ahead and let them get that rock to them. And kind of that's about all we can do.
Right.
We can't say, you gotta take rock to this person, or you gotta take rock to
So
that.
how did that happen?
But yeah, see, and I would question that too,
But he
because
gets
that's
all
not
that.
what I understood, because by doing that, then we are going behind the road maintenance agreement. We are allowing heavy trucks to travel on our roads, and that's in our road maintenance agreement, which we agreed that we were not going to adjust that road maintenance agreement. So that's not the understanding that I understand what you said, but we said we were gonna come back and discuss it. Am I right, Jesse?
Yes, we were gonna discuss it. I did not give, they just said that they had, they'll probably have 300-ton reserve for them. They are not gonna have much from the laydown yard, because it's all spoken for within themselves, I guess, is what I'm understanding.
That's a lot of rock for him.
So, they said they had 300-ton for Mr. France, and
Well, that
if we
needs
were
to
gonna
go on
have
our
to haul it
roads.
for them. So, it was, what I was informed was it was gonna be way later down the road, when they start deconstructing the laydown yard. So that was what I was told.
And I've had several calls from people who felt like, why is he getting it? When we put up with the traffic, and we put up with the dust, and we put up with,
Now, as far as you're concerned, one thing we do need to remember that there was pre-construction video and notes taken of these roads and things like that. There will be
Good.
also post-video and inspection of everything. And I even have blade men that are concerned about some of the intersections of their culverts and stuff. So I'm making notes of these locations. That way they are addressed before they ship out of here.
Did they say they would fix from 340th to 330th on Diamond also? Because they've messed it up so bad with those trucks? Did they, do you know?
No, they haven't.
Can you
talked
check
about
with
that.
them?
I'll check.
Because there are potholes everywhere.
Off of 330th, going north.
The 340th, yep, it's terrible. Because those little trucks were all over it.
and I think that's typical of a lot of the roads up there. I see the potholes are just popping up.
They
Terrible.
are.
Yeah, they are.
He used it up.
Okay, we'll take a couple of short comments. Lloyd, I think you had your hand up first.
On your road, north of Highway 150, that is a rough road. I walk there every day to feed cattle. There's 9 families that use that road every day. And I had to put it in 4-wheel drive today to get through there, empty. And that's pretty sad.
Okay, I was on it Thursday and there wasn't even a rut on it Thursday. So this weekend it may have gotten beat up more.
If they take the snow off when they're supposed to, you wouldn't have this problem. It was 3 days after snow before they took the slush off. Meanwhile, it's soaked down.
Okay, appreciate your comment, Lloyd. Mr. Pinner?
Yeah, I would, I just want to say, I would really support that strategic planning, a monthly deal, because we have a lot of dirt roads that I rely on to get to my fields. And now that they're so bad, I have to take highways, and you know, semis just hate farm equipment on major highways. I've had incidences where I've reported bad behavior and nothing's been done about that, so. But my thing is, I would support very much the strategic plan for getting these roads out, because it's important for me to have access.
That's a great idea.
Mike?
After reading about the rock that the wind farm has left over, have you inspected that rock? Is it quality enough to use on roads?
It's all from Harshman AB3.
I guess my thought is, why wouldn't the county, even if you had to pay $5 a ton, try and make a deal with them and use it? It's already there.
Right.
Why wouldn't you try and buy it? I mean, it could benefit everybody and the county itself if it's good enough quality to use, you know? I mean, if it's dirty and junky, you know, I understand, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. If they're gonna give it away to whoever to put in their yard, I think it'd be more beneficial to the county as a whole to buy it from them if we have to pay them something.
Don't we
And
have
save
some
some
type
money
of
on some
agreement
rock
where
hauling?
we're gonna be,
Yes, we have it in the agreement where if there is some that they're willing to, then we have up to 2 weeks to get it out of their stockpile and take it wherever we need it. Now, like you said, it's gonna depend on how dirty it may be from reclaiming it. There was also, from what I'm understanding from the wind farm company, our inspector is, they are very limited on rock that they're gonna be able to give away. They're putting a lot of it around the radius of the turbines and a few other places. So it sounds to me from hearing them last week is they don't even have much to even give away or sell, whatever that may be.
I know 300 tons sounds like a lot to me.
That sounds
It's not
like a
much
lot to me.
but
1 mile.
I didn't know how much they were gonna do.
Right now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's hard to tell. I thought they would have more than what they're gonna have.
It's 4 miles. It's 4 miles.
It's 1 mile. 300 ton is
1
1
mile.
mile.
1 mile.
1 mile.
1 mile?
1 mile. That's what Jesse does now, is 300 tons, 1 mile.
Yeah.
okay. One last comment, Lloyd.
Well, your trucks are hauling rock today, right now, up there on that yellow road.
Oh, going north.
Going north, yes. You know what they're doing? And I'm gonna have to drive over that when it freezes. They're driving in my driveway where I go in to feed cattle. They're cutting ruts that deep, no rock. I'm gonna have to bounce over that tomorrow morning.
There is some
And I
issues.
don't appreciate that very much.
I apologize for that. There is some issues. I need to talk to the guys again, give them a refresher. I do not want people turning around in driveways or entrances. I apologize. It has happened lately, with these storms we've had. So I'm trying.
They're breaking my driveway down, and I go through there 3 times a day.
I
I
understand.
don't appreciate it.
I understand. So I'm trying.
Okay. Okay, we appreciate everyone's comment. And
I don't know, Myron.
was there one back there?
Oh, is this the time?
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, commissioners, for your time. I just want to say I recognize the situation is difficult that we're in due to the weather. And I'd also say Jesse's always taken my calls when I've called him. The south end of Goldenrod is in a situation where it's going to break down badly now. I'm trying to get some hay in and out of there with semis. I'm going to have to pull them.
You iron both?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I, 730 Goldenrod.
Yep.
If I pull them, you know what that'll do to the road. So I could use some guidance as to what the right thing to do there is. The other thing I'd like to say is, in the southern part of the county at least, there have been places where sand has been applied with the soft rock, and that's been highly successful, in my opinion. So if that is the fines that you need to add to some rock, I would think that would be a good plan. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right. Moving forward, we